Hi, my name is Kgadi Mmanakana and this is Kgadi on Strategy, the channel, the platform where I become your unsolicited business mentor and strategy advisor. This is where I use my experience, expertise, and knowledge to give you practical tools, tactical strategies to help you execute your idea, grow your business, access market, access funding, and grow your business and your business skills. So today, my focus is funding, is business funding, how to get funding for your business. So it's all about access to funding. We all know that funding can be one of the tools that unlock your business growth. If really you seek funding for the right reasons at the right time from the right people, you can actually use external funding to unlock your business growth. So right now, most people are looking for funding. Some really need it, some they don't really need it. But then at the end of the day, they need funding. They are looking for funding. But now the question is, how do we access it? We may be knowing these organizations, these institutions that offer funding, but do we know how to access it? And today I'm going to guide you. I'm going to use my experience in entrepreneurship development and strategy consulting. My work for the past 6 years, I've been doing this full time. So I'm just going to give you what I know. I'm just going to give you what has been tried and tested. I remember the first year I've been in business, that was in 2016. I helped this guy who was looking for a truck from a financier, from an investor. And he was looking for 500,000 rands to buy a truck. And me preparing a funding proposal for him and having secured that amount of money in my first year in business, still doing the trial and error kind of work, that just validated that was my thing, that was it, that was my path. Because I got into the field of entrepreneurship development and strategy consulting to help entrepreneurs and startup business owners win. I'm all about that. I'm all about playing my part to help you manifest your entrepreneurial visions. So today, my part is all about funding, how to access funding. Before I get into the practical tips on how to access funding, or rather what it takes to access funding in the South African market, or any market for that matter, although I'll be using South African market as a frame of reference. I'm going to start with why you don't get funding or why you didn't get funding. You may have applied for funding before and you didn't get funding. So I'm just going to give you some of the reasons why you didn't get funding. And those that are still applying right now, these are some of the things that may end up making your application unsuccessful. So one of the reasons, everything that I'm talking about here, it's based on my experience and my work with entrepreneurs and small businesses, right? So the first thing is because you're unrealistic. You didn't get funding because you're unrealistic. And this is what I mean by being unrealistic. We go back to the last pages of your business plan and we find your financials. And when we check your capital, the use of funds, you're saying you're looking for 1 million rand or 500,000 rands. And when we check how you'll be using that money, you're talking about office expenditure. You're talking about paying the salaries. You're looking for a whole lot of money for the kind of sector or industry that doesn't even need that kind of capital to launch. So your numbers are not making sense. That's what I mean right here when I say you're being unrealistic. So you're saying you need 100,000 rands, and when you check how you'll be using the money, you're focused more on giving a perception of an already established business. So you there, when you check the use of your funds, you have your office furniture, you're talking about paying the rent for 12 months, you're talking about branded t-shirts and things like that. Nothing has been planned. You just using that money, Ngati, it's already there in your bank. Ngati, it's like every day, it's like your working capital. You're not using that money to acquire assets for your business. You are using that money for it. Like an investment analyst go through your business plan, your financials, what they see there is somebody who's looking for a check to finance stuff. Like you're looking for a pocket money of some sort. You are saying you want payroll. You want to pay payroll for 12 months. And on top of that, you're a startup. You're in the service business. You're in the cleaning business. You want to start a cleaning business and you're saying this particular institution should be paying salaries for your business. Why? Why should they pay salaries for your business? Unless it will only make sense if your business, it has been in existence, say, for 2 years, right? And now you are trying to acquire more funds. So you let's say, for example, you're looking for 100K to buy a new company vehicle, or you're looking to buy a new machine. So buying a new machine, it means also there will be shortage in your cash flow. The expansion of your business will put pressure on your payroll. So you won't be managing well. Based on your cash flow, your business won't manage to pay payroll for the next 3 months. This is when you can now go to the financier to ask for a cash flow, working capital to pay off the salaries for the next 3 months, because your business is not managing. But if you're a startup and you're asking for funding to pay salaries, you're not, to me, if I am an investment analyst going through your application, I'm like, what will you be doing for these 3 years or this 12 months? Won't you be making money? Won't you be working? So you're looking for security. You're looking for a security. Why? And if you're looking for security, you shouldn't be getting into business, because right now what you're saying to me is that you don't want to work to make money and pay these expenses. How about if you're in the cleaning business, say, I need you to help me with inventory. I would like to buy cleaning products that I will use. I would like to get a website. I would like to get a computer. Those are the key things, the key assets that you're going to use to make money. So if you're looking for 100,000 rands and you're talking about paying salaries, how are you going to pay me back the money if what you're looking for is a business loan? You understand? They won't give you, because what you're looking for is like a way out. You want to have this experience of having money, spending it, but you don't show any commitment to say you're gonna be playing your part. You're gonna be injecting some cash in your business. So it could be the reason why you haven't been approved for funding. It could be that when the investment analyst went through your application, what they saw was just somebody who's thinking that 100,000 rands is just grows on the tree. Because here you are, you're talking about paying the rent 12 months, paying salaries 12 months. What will you be doing? Won't you be making money? And if you'll be making money, why don't you just pay off those salaries? Why can't you just prioritize what's important? Instead of now worrying, if you're a website designer, you're in the creative space, the design space, instead of now going after funding for a rental office, these posh offices, why don't you just go for the latest design softwares, latest computers, and then you just work from home? You understand what is happening? So when you apply for funding, even if they say the maximum funding is 50 million rand, it matters how the breakdown of how those funds will be used. Even if it's a grant, it matters how that money will be used. So the people, you need to understand, that investment analysts that analyze that, they're going to match assets and liabilities on how you're going to be using your money. So some of you have been rejected because the budget allocation of the funding that you're looking for went mostly towards the liabilities and not the assets. So that's why. Second reason is because you are not serious. And this is what I mean by not being serious. You don't get funded because you're not serious. You cannot register your company today, or you just wake up today and you say you want funding. Even if you come to me to help you with a funding proposal or business plan, man, you don't think about it. It is more than just coming to me and me preparing a bankable business plan and then you just submitting. What if now we are preparing this business plan and then you are sending to the funding institution that is not even open for funding cycle? What if you're even submitting your application into an institution that doesn't fund your industry or sector? So be serious. When you're looking for funding, when you're really looking for funding, the process doesn't start with a business plan. And those are the tips that I'll be giving you. You'll get to understand where it actually starts. The business plan is towards the end when you are sure. You don't just do a lottery kind of, action. Because you need to understand also that as much as you are paying me money to prepare a business plan for you and I'm going to give you my best, you're wasting money, because at the end, I've seen my clients. I've seen some of the clients that came to me and I do the business plan for them. It is amazing. The business model, everything is pashaj, but they don't get funding. They don't follow up. They just give up. It's like having a business plan, going to a consultant and doing a business plan is like a checklist, that shows that they're in business, but they're not serious. You're not serious. You don't get funding because you're not serious. You need to understand that getting a business plan is just part of what it takes to get funding, to access funding. So you don't just wake up and decide, like, what, I need funding, I'm going to apply for funding, just because everyone is, and there's this movement of, I need funding, there's this I need funding. It's crippling. It means when you need something, it's like you can't do anything without it. You can't live without it. You need funding to start a business, to grow your business, meaning I cannot start until I get funding. So what if you never get funding? It means you are never serious even in the first place to start a business. We do not refrain from using I need funding. Say I require funding. Requirement, it just means like it's something that I require to do 1, 2, 3 in my business. Not every business that has been started require funding. And not every business require 100,000 rands in funding. Some of you, what you need is 100 rands, 1,000 rands, 10,000 rands, 2,000 rands, 1,000 rands. You understand? So you need to understand that even if you pay me money and you have the most bankable business plan and you go to an institution, it can still get rejected because you don't pay attention. This one just goes back to number 1, to say you're being unrealistic about certain things. Some industries don't require the kind of funding that you think they need, what you've written that you require. So you not being serious is that refrain from just registering your company today and then you decide I need the next step is Kgadi to help me with the business plan, then we're getting funding. No, before you come to me, there are certain steps that you need to get started with. And I'm going to show you after this when we get into the practical tips, right? So the third reason could be there is limited funding. Here's the truth. As much as in South African entrepreneurship development ecosystem, there is funding, whether it's grants or whether it's like blended kind of funding, there is funding, but it is limited. Just know that NYDA that people are talking about, right? The same NYDA, the same funding that you want to apply for at one NYDA. There are thousands of other entrepreneurs and small businesses that are trying to apply for it. So you need to understand that there is an intense competition for the same funding, for the same 100 rands that you're looking for. You understand? So you need to get things right. So there's limited funding. So meaning they're not going to give everyone. Even if you go there, and some of the reasons why you won't get funding will be discussed when I give you the tips. Because like I said, that the number 1 that I gave you being unrealistic. So you could have the most bankable business case, right? But you get there, but then it throws you, the numbers throw you off. And then they choose another person who didn't even have the most comprehensive business plan, but how they articulated, how they're going to use money, they choose them. So there's limited funding. So you need to know that the stakes are high. So you need to make sure that everything is right. You're not playing. If it means you take the whole year without applying for funding so that you can prepare your business, do that. Or else, you're wasting time, you're wasting resources, you're wasting money. So remember that the funding you're looking for, others are looking for it. So you need to stand out. The business case needs to be comprehensive. Your financials needs to be precise. Don't be playing. Don't be unrealistic. And yeah, pretty much. Oh, and the last minute application. Oh, some of us that tends to do the funding proposals and business plan development, yeah, we tend to get under pressure. A client will come and they say, you know what, there's this funding opportunity. I need it tomorrow. I need the business plan tomorrow, things like that. And when you check, okay, I know I've been doing this thing. So there's this thing, I can do a business plan. My relaxed turnaround time is like 4 to 7 days, right? But I can still do it within 24 hours. You know what? For the past 6 years, I've done it that long, right? So just because I've done it for 6 years, so I can do it for 6 hours. You understand what is happening? And as much as I can do it for 6 hours, man, I will play my part, but I cannot guarantee you that you're going to get funding. One of the reasons why I do not facilitate funding is because entrepreneurs and small business owners like to do things last minute. And when it's last minute, it disadvantages me as the consultant because I can do the great work. But if on your side, there's some of the things, there's some of the roles that you didn't play your part fully, it's just gonna miscarry the opportunity. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, accessing funding is more than just getting a comprehensive business plan. I understand that opportunities differ. There are some institutions that will tell you that I need a 2-page funding proposal, like I did for this other lady in Johannesburg who was looking for a 2-page funding proposal to get funding for their salon. I did that, they got it. There are those that need comprehensive business plan. You understand what is happening? So circumstances differ. However, if you're looking for a lot of money, you need to understand that those people, those investment analysts, those institutions, they will have to take time and go through your business plan. And also, you don't just go in and then they just give you 100,000 rands just like that. It goes beyond just your business plan. There is a business and there is an entrepreneur. I guess what I'm trying to talk about here is the entrepreneur. It has him or herself. So you need to also understand that they don't only invest in the business, they also invest in you. They're going to also assess you. So you're doing things last minute and you're looking for funding, but you're still working full time. You're not going to get funding because you didn't take time. You're playing last minute. You didn't take time to think about the prerequisites of that particular funding. They're saying you need to be responsible for the day-to-day operations. So they're not going to give you because they know, they can see that you're already employed somewhere else. So you need to understand that it is more than just a business plan. Okay, fine. So those are just some of the reasons why your business, your funding application was not approved. So now, let's get into, I think I have some 6 tips here. So 6 key tips on how to get access to funding, how to get funding for your business. Here's the first step. So whether you're a startup or an existing business, before you go on to apply for funding, here we're talking about unsolicited funding application. By unsolicited funding application, we're talking about there's no competition, there's no deadline to say there's this funding, what youth fund that is open right now, and then the applications are open from this date until that date. We're not talking about that particularly, but some of the steps here are going to matter, right? But so now we're talking about knowing the fact that GEP, NYDA, CIFA, NEF, IDC, ITALA, ECDC, all of these funding institutions, they are always open for funding, right? So, meaning anytime you can apply, right? So, some of them although they do have funding cycle, they would say from March to May, from whatever, you need to know those cycles. So unsolicited funding applications is when there is no deadline, is when there's no call out for funding applications, right? So the first thing that you need to do, even if there is a call out, some of the steps you need to look at, there are some steps that you need to look at, right? So the first thing is to do a funding needs assessment. A funding needs assessment is just to assess the funding that you need, right? So the first thing, this is how you do a funding needs assessment. First of all, it's how much funding are you looking for? How much money? There are a lot of people that say, we need funding for our business, we need investment, blah, 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 blah. But if you just point at them, how much? They're not going to give you a figure. They're not going to give, people are looking for funding, but they won't give you a figure of how much funding they need. Because you know what? Not every person is like, not everyone who says, my Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, right? So not every person who says they need funding really need funding. So I'm giving you a challenge, even right now. How much funding do you need right now? Answer. Some of you, it's tricky, right? So when you do your funding needs assessment, the first question is, how much funding do you need? Right? Say you need 100,000 rands, right? 100,000 rands, okay, fine. What for? What do you need this 100,000 rands for? So this is where you do a budget breakdown. 100,000 rand, how are you going to use 50K? 50K for what? To buy this machine. 20K for that. 1,000 rand for that. So you need to get it all. Break down how you're going to use that money. And this is where it gets tricky. Remember the last time I said some of you, the reasons why you didn't get funded is because you were unrealistic in your budget breakdown. You just said for rental. You just said office furniture. You just said salaries and things like that. Things about the assets, the key things. What are the key things that you need for your business? If you're a startup, what do you need? You need a computer, a laptop, right? You need Wi-Fi. You need, what is it that you need? And this depends on the industrial sector that you're in. For example, I'm in the consulting space. What do I need? Right now, I will say, I need a computer. Not that I need it right now. I'm just saying, if I'm starting out. Because I actually started my business with only a laptop. I just bought a laptop and a printer. So you need a laptop, right? Obviously, a printer. And then right now, because I'm doing the video thing, I will need like some ring lights and things like that. And the mics, so that I can record the videos and all that. Okay, some branding, the website, a business profile. If I can't do it, okay, fine. If it was not part of my business scope, I will say I need a business profile, I'll go consult, I'll need a logo, you know, the graphic design, the brand identity part of stuff. Okay, I will need a banner, things like that. Those are the key things. When we talk about the key things, we're talking about things that you use in your business, that you're going to need. Is like the tools for your business, to do your business, to do the work, to carry out the work. And then we're talking about the activation tools, the brand activation tools. What you need to activate your brand. You're in your business. You need to be known, right? So if you're going to need posters, it's posters. If you need the banners, so it's about around the branding, the marketing. Yes, you know what is happening? Instead of saying I need rental or salary for 12 months, say I need 12 months to do your digital marketing. It's a digital marketing budget. Say you need it for what do you call the billboard advertisement. You need it for your radio or TV or whatever it is. Even if it's 100,000 rands for marketing, they're gonna give it to you. Because depending on the type of business that you're in, I'm not saying go and say you need money for 100,000 rands for marketing. It depends on your industry. It depends on the size of your business. You understand? So people forget that what's on the finances, the numbers needs to also match the strategies and the tactical plans that are in the business plan. So the people, what you write on the numbers must be informed by your plans in there. You can't just talk about a billboard advertising or radio ads and things like that. But when you go to your marketing plan, there's nothing about that. You understand what is happening here? So also your industry, your sector, it informs the size of the budget that you need. The type of advertisement or marketing that you're gonna need. You understand? So if it's a clothing brand, you're launching a new clothing brand, or a clothing line rather, and there will be an opening. You're gonna have a physical store or even an online store. There's gonna be some sort of a launch, right? So you could include that. You understand what is happening? So the budget should focus mainly on the tools that you need to do your business, the tools that will activate your brand. So it's about brand activation. That's for a startup, right? And then the rest is then working capital. Working capital is the cash flow, and you cannot be asking for 100,000 rands cash flow. You know why? Because you're gonna look at the sector. What you're still starting. You're in this geographic area. This is your market size. It has to merge. Do you already have customer traction, or are you still starting out? So those factors, they really matter. You need to think about that. You can't just write any number. 55,000 rand. What for? What is that 5 rand going to? Like, what is happening? So each and every cent need to be accounted for. We are lucky. We are lucky because before, we used to have this pitch where you had to account for, and this works mainly in the venture capital space, where it's an investor, and they ask you about each and every cent, and you need to know all the answers. Nowadays, they do online applications. They just do it on, look at their business plan. They analyze if it makes sense and things like that, and but sometimes they actually they can give you fund without even seeing you. So some of you, you're lucky because some of you don't even know what's in the business plan, but you're submitting it. And some of you even go to get the funding, but you've never even went through the business plan because the business plan was done by a consultant. You understand what is happening? So where was I? So what for? The budget breakdown. So the funding, when you do the budget breakdown, when you say you need 50,000 rands, focus. Focus, me saying focus to you, I'm not saying lie. I'm saying before you even get to 50,000 rands, it has to start with, what do I need? What does my business need? You need a laptop. You need whatever. You go on and check the market price, the average price of a laptop. You can even go get a quote, and that's when you get that total funding. You know why? Because funders are going to look for those quotations from the shops, right? So you just said 55,000 rands from your head, and then they're going to ask for a quotation. You understand what is happening? So ask yourself question, what does my business need? Focus on the tools that you will need to carry out the work, for the type of business that you're in. If you're a consultant, what is it important for a consultant to have? What are the tools? What is the equipment that is required, right? There are people who got funding for company cars because the car is important in their company, right? So what is important to carry out the tasks? Okay, for activation, for the marketing of the business, what do you need, right? So the rest is just unnecessary and is just gonna sabotage your funding application and then get a little bit of working capital, right? So that actually applies for mainly the startups, and then also for the growth, for those that are looking for growth finance. At times it's just obvious. You need a new machine, right? You want to open another shop, right? You need funding for that. You want to buy another car, another truck. You need funding for more stock. You understand? So the money that you're looking for is for that specific thing that you're looking for, right? So for those that are looking for growth finance or working capital, it's just as that specific. You want to grow your business. What does that look like for you? It looks like buying a new equipment, opening a new store, hiring more people, things like that. So the money that you're looking for is specifically for that particular thing. So yes, underfunding needs assessment. How much, what for, how agent. I said it that you don't just wake up and say, I need funding, because you're going to be late, you're going to waste money, or you're just going to put us under pressure. So how urgent do you need this money? So you're saying you need 50,000 rands. Do you really is it urgent, you need it now, or can you take time? You know why I'm talking about taking time? There are other funding institutions that do not fund. Okay, these are two reasons. There are other funding institutions that do not fund startup businesses, right? So one of the requirements is that you have to be in existence for 12 months, right? And if you are now starting out, and then you see that these are the people that can actually give you money within 24 hours, as long as you've been in business for 12 months, and your money, the money that you've made in your business has been around 24 or 40K monthly, right? So those are just the two requirements. They just want to see that. So instead of just getting up and going to look for funding, how about you pause and say, these people can give me 500,000 rands as long as I've been in business for 12 months and I have a monthly income or turnover of 40,000 rands. So it's just a question of, okay, I can give myself 2022, the whole of 2022, to just focus on trading, being in business. Now the question would be, how can I make 40K monthly in my business? You understand? And now I know me focusing on this one will just take me out of topic, because there actually words. Some of you don't really need funding. Some of you, what you need is just to secure a contract. Without funding, without the equipment, what you need is a comprehensive proposal where you go and get a contract. You go and pitch, you get a contract for 3 years, and then after you get it, some institutions, they even have finance department where they can actually give you funding. It's a loan where you go pitch. Say, for example, it's a mine and you want to introduce stuff transport to them, or the trucks, right? You go the pitch for that, you have the solution for them, and you're still new, purely new. You just saw a market opportunity, you go into them, and then you pitch, and then they award you the contract. And then the funding, there are two options. Now, because you've been awarded a contract, what happens is that now you can use the contract and go to any funding institution that give contract financing, right? To fund you to buy, even if it's a truck, they can give you money for that trucks, to buy those trucks, because you already have this 3-year contract to provide logistics services in that mining company. Or even the same mining company, some companies, they actually have the finance department where they give their contractors funding, a business loan. You understand what is happening? So you need to know that sometimes you don't necessarily need funding from these people from out there. You just need to close a deal. It's the same way with tenders. We saw it happening last year, this year. People who are not even in the healthcare industry or the medical equipment space, they've been offering sanitizers and all that. They don't even have those things in stock. What you do, you just bid, you get a tender, you go source somewhere, and then you supply. You understand what is happening? You register a company today, you apply for a tender, you get it. So the same tender, we know that when you talk about tender, people think about government, but the same contract you get from Anglo-American, ETSA, or whatever institution or company it is, that's a tender. It's just that we just associate tender with corruption, with government, with all this stuff. But the same contract you acquire from Pick and Pay to supply whatever, the same contract you acquire from, that's a tender. That's a tender. But you guys, when you think about tender, and most of you guys like tenders, you really like tender. You get into business specifically for tender, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that you're thinking it in a bad way, because you don't want to work. You just want to register a company, and then you're like, how do I get tenders? You just want to go to the website, you go bid to the municipality, and then you're looking for that. It's another way of making money. But really, if you want to build a sustainable business, tendering is good, as long as you started that company to say, Okay, this is what is needed. This is what is needed. Okay, I'm going to supply them with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can be manufacturing whatever it is you're manufacturing, or growing your veggies, or whatever it is. You're a farming business and you get a tender to supply those veggies in a retail space or whatever. You understand what is happening? Or an agro-processing company. So understand, it's still tender. So I guess what I'm trying to say right now with this tender thing, tenderpreneurship thing, I'm saying change how you look at it. Build your business. Think about you being part of the supply chain, having a role, having a space in this value chain. Take the government and tenders and brown envelope out of this whole tendering thing. Think of it as a contract. How can I get, for example, me as somebody who's in the consulting space, I can get a trainer to offer business development training. That's a contract. I refrain from using tender because it's just associated with stuff. So that's what I'm trying to say. So sometimes you say you need funding, but it's not really agent. You can start right now, start trading, start making money. You understand? So now you know how much, what for, how agent, and then now it's about the return on investment. With the return on investment, when you say you need 100,000 rands, even if it's a grant from government, obviously with the business loans and all that, they care about, will you be able to pay me back? You understand? With the investors, they care about the return on investment. This is where it is mostly used to say, if I give you 100,000 rands, how much will you give back to me? And after how long will I be able to get this money? So sometimes people think that with government stuff, government funding, the grants, they don't really care about return on investment. But return on investment is not necessarily about the interest or the money growing, because you're not going to be paying it back. It's about the impact that this funding will have on your business, will have on you as an entrepreneur. You understand what I'm trying to say? So when you get to the return on investment for this funding that you're looking for, first start with how will this money help your business from a revenue point of view, right? Secondly, from a growth is not only about turnover. It's about market share. It's about competitive advantage against your competitors. So there's a lot of stuff. It's about also using entrepreneur. How are you going to grow? You understand what I'm trying to say? So for government, it's about how many jobs are you going to create. It's about the socio-economic development. That's a return on investment. It has to be attractive. When somebody gives you money, man, it shouldn't feel like it's a loss. It shouldn't feel like, oh man, even if it's like free money as in grant money. So you need to give them reasons beyond the fact that they're given a mandate to invest in small businesses. You need to give them a reason why particularly your business. You understand? So you need to have a compelling why they should give it to you. Because when you give me 100,000 rands, I'm going to be able to, purchase this. It's like, you're making sense. You're analyzing your financials. You're giving me 100 rands, and with this 100 rands, I'm going to buy 1, 2, 3, with this 1, 2, 3, I'm going to be able to launch my business. And then within 3 months or 6 months or a year, I will start, I will break even. I will make this turnover of, from 100 rands to now 1,000 rands. And then you see what is happening. I'm loving it. The money is growing. I'm giving you 100 rands and you're telling me about you're going to be having 1,000 rands within a year. Whether it's an investor, whether it's a loan, whether it's for government, they're happy because, oh my God, this is like a success story. For business loans, okay, I'm giving this person 100 rands and then they're going to come back with 1,000 rands within a year. And that is not even yet then so the term they gave you. So it shows that capability to pay back. This person, if we give them this 100 rand, they're going to be able to give us money back and fast. The same thing with the investors. You're going to give it back fast. You understand what is happening? So, man, it's more than just a business plan. We're giving you 100,000 rand. How is it going to be used? What will be the return on investment, financial return here, right? That's from a revenue point of view. The same thing, that was just an example for startups. The same thing with those that are still they're existing, that you're in business. So let's say you're a farmer, right? And then it's a small scale, or even it's more than just a backyard vegetable garden, right? So, but it's a bit of a small scale farm, and you saw an opportunity to supply Pick and Pay with some veggies, and you're like, okay, I need growth funding. Pick and Pay is say they need 100 boxes of tomatoes every quarter, or every 3 months or something like that, right? And right now your production output, your capacity can only, make 50. So it's half of what Pick and Pay is looking for. So now you can go to the financier and you say, if you give me this much money, if you give me this 50,000 rands, I'll increase my plots, my farm, increasing the farm, and then the production output will increase, things like that. So it's all about what you're getting. You're looking for this money to increase the production output, and increasing the production output will give you access to Pick and Pay. You'll be able to supply Pick and Pay, and the money you're gonna make from Pick and Pay is gonna triple or quadruple your turnover, your monthly turnover. You understand what is happening? That's what they look for when they assess your applications. The numbers, when they say the numbers matter, that's what's happening. So when you say you need this funding, okay, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. You need a company car. Okay, fine. You need a company car to save this. Efficiency, those words, they're not just in these big businesses. Productivity, things, production output, that's what's happening. You want to employ more people so that, because there's demand. You understand what is happening? But the key thing is about growth. It's about growth. So they want to see you grow, whether it's revenue growth, whether it's geographic expansion, it's more access, like getting access to markets. It matters. Whether it's employing people, it's creating change. Because you need to remember that, especially when the government staff, socioeconomic development matters. As much as them investing in you is part of socioeconomic development, also a ripple effect. It's like paid forward kind of thing. So you need to always think about, how can I pay it forward? But still on that, don't think about paid forward early in the business. When you start a business as an entrepreneur, this is new to you, the first thing shouldn't be creating jobs. It's about building a sustainable business and making money, enough money to be able to create more jobs. You understand? You're not a non-profit organization, right? So that's the return on investment. After that is, how else can I finance this? So this is what I did. I remember I was looking for, before I could design my own logos and websites and things like before I could understand graphic design, that was like my first year. I did a barter trade with this graphic designer. So he designed some stuff, brand identity stuff for my company, like the logos, posters, and things like that. And then in return, I did a business profile for them. In return, it was a business profile and then a marketing strategy, I think, like we're doing a marketing plan. So when I talk about how else can I finance this, there are various ways to finance a business besides getting money from someone else. Sometimes it's also financing with your own money, with the 350 from the president, this 350, for the unemployed, what. The social relief 350. You can save it and then you register a company. You can save it and get a website. You can save it and do something else. You understand? Your pocket money, you can trade. Sacrifice, it's about that. It just takes discipline. You understand? So instead of waiting for 4 months or a year to hear from a funding institution, you can start finding ways. Barter trade with somebody else. If you can design, like I just gave an example, if you are in the design space and that's your expertise, trade something and you need a business plan or a funding proposal or a consulting session, trade. You understand what is happening here? So think of other ways to finance that. I also gave you an example that sometimes what you really need is to just get a deal, close a deal. There are lots of businesses, sites, I'm no longer doing them. But I've been testing markets for me with social media. So I would think about the company registration thing. I'm like, okay, I can do this thing, but I don't have time to really make this thing a business. So what I did, I just created a social media page, linked it, designed everything, and then I started advertising company registration and things like that because I could do it. You understand what is happening? Sometimes, and then people, they're like, okay, register a company for me, and boom, done. Get paid, done. You understand what is happening? So sometimes what you really need is just to have a Facebook page and then start advertising your services. Sometimes it's having posters and start distributing them, those flyers. Sometimes it's doing door to door. Sometimes you understand what is happening. So that's how you can finance your business to really kickstart. As you get those clients, you take that money and then you go and get a laptop, buy a laptop or get what. For now, you can register companies from your phone. Later on, with that money, as it goes on, you will get a pre-owned laptop. You go on. You raise money. The one thing that stops us from really progressing or finding our own business, we do not want to reinvest the money that we make because we truly believe, or we are lying to ourselves, that the money that gets into the business is ours. It's like you as Kgadi. The money, it's yours. It's not the businesses. You understand? So there is that lack of discipline. I have been there. I'm still learning too. You understand what is happening? So there's that thing, there's a pending payment coming from a client. You're already having plans about it, of how you're gonna spend it. And for personal stuff, you're already, ordering things online. You're already planning vacations with the money that is not yours, the business money. And I think this is the elephant in the room because, man, and that's something that is holding us back, especially as South African entrepreneurs and the people who are I think I will have to do a separate video on this one. Yeah, I remember I recorded the podcast on this. But then for a video, I think I will do it later on at some point. But then, yeah, let me not go any further. So the first thing, how to get funding, access to funding. The first thing you do funding needs assessment. How much do you need? What for? How agent? What will be the return on investment? How else can I finance this? Right? Then when you're done, at this point, you know that you need 50 rands. You know what you need it for. You know that you actually need it now. You want to apply it's flexible. This year, you would like to get it. You're clear on the return on investment, and yeah, you've decided on how you're gonna finance this thing. You've decided that you're going to apply. You're gonna apply. Go these institutions that are out there, right? You're open to. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's get to number 2. Now that you're at that stage, the second thing is, what type of funding are you looking for? There are different types of funding, right? There is a loan, a business loan. We know that a loan, you give me something, and then when you ask for something, they give it to you. When it goes back, it has increased. In a liditswala, right? There is interest on top. So that's a business loan, right? And there's a grant. A grant, they give it to you. You don't pay it back. Right? There's equity investment. Equity investment, I'm giving you my money. I'm buying shares in your company. And the decisions of whether or not after 3 years you're going to buy me out or we're going to full-time do this thing together, it depends on the two of you. But the equity investment just means that I have you and somebody with money. A person with money invests in your business. They give you money. in exchange of a particular percentage in your company. These are options. There are other types of funding I'm thinking. These are the top 3 ones. So oftentimes when I ask clients what type of funding they're looking for, I know that they haven't really thought through this thing, right? But they're always like 99.99% of the time is they're looking for grants. And I can just guess why grants, because they don't need to pay it back. There's no risk. You understand what is happening? So I would like to open up your mind to different types of funding. Like I said, in South African market, South African entrepreneurship space, entrepreneurship development space, but as far as funding is concerned, development finance is concerned, grants, the governments, like the free stuff, the ones that you don't need to pay them back, a lot of people are looking for it. There's an intense competition. You understand what is happening? So it's possible that you may never get funded. You understand what is happening? So it can take too long for you to get funded. So you need to open up yourself. You need to open yourself up to other alternatives, like getting a business loan. And a business loan, people think, oh, the bank won't give me, oh, CFA, oh, IDC, oh, on NEF, and they can give you. You just need to understand what it takes for loans, for people who offer loans to really give people money. We all know about the collateral and things like that, but it's more than that. And I cannot really unpack this thing because each and every funding institution has its own requirements and processes. So the best bet would be if you want to apply to an EF, National Empowerment Fund, you will need to just go to their website and check what they look for. What are their checklists? You understand what is happening? Or go to IDC or go to CFAR or the banks. The information is there on the website. You understand what is happening? So that's that. And then the equity investment too, really. And also, each and every venture capital firm, they have their own way of doing stuff. You know, you need to understand what's their procedure. What does this thing mean and things like that? What does it mean when they have shares? Because people think shares and they're like, what? Because we want to be the sole owners of our companies, right? But we don't know that sometimes it actually helps. These well-known brands, companies that we see, the Silicon Valley type of companies, you'd find that if their owners even like they own less. They don't even have all this 100%. Obviously, you will need like your controlling share of 51%, and then 49 is owned by like a lot of other people, and a lot of other people. This other person is coming with a marketing experience, and this one is sales. This one is product development. This is technology. This is an innovator. This is a researcher. So it matters. So you need to understand what does the venture capital or investor thing work. Equity sharing thing work, right? Yes, we have the angel investors and the silent partner kind of people who just give you money, and then they just believe in you. They give you money, and then you're gonna give it back. But I have shares. But there are those that invest and then they become part of your business, like operational. You understand? So you need to make you need to do more research on that. Probably I'll make some. Yeah, I'll create some content on that to just give pointers, what to look for and things like that. Understand how this venture capital equity investment work. So it's also an option. So one of the key things that the reason why we're not thinking about this thing. So we go mainly for grants because no risk. We don't need to pay it back, right? The second thing with the business loan. The business loan, I will owe them. Risk, too much risk. Equity investment, they're gonna steal my company. No. You understand what is happening? So it's like we don't even understand our business is a risk itself. Entrepreneurship is an irrational pursuit of something that you're not sure is gonna happen. You just believe in this thing that you're gonna make money, you're gonna be successful, you're gonna change the world, but really nothing is guaranteed. Entrepreneurship is a process. You need to master the system. You need to get out there. You need to work. It's more than just being your own boss. You're not even your own boss. Yes, when it comes to time and the flexibility of hours and things like that, it is so nice. It is superb. Like, I love it. But it is so difficult. You will miss your corporate South Africa, right? So, but then, yeah. So what I'm trying to say with the type of funding, I'm saying expand your mind. Don't just focus on grants. Think about a business loan. Learn more. You don't even have to take 1 million rand. Start with something like 500 or 1,000 rand or whatever, man. Think about a business loan. Like, warm up to it, because as you grow, you're gonna need a loan. You're gonna need the credit line, right? You're gonna need a credit line. So where are you gonna get that? You're gonna get it from NYDA. NYDA will give you up to 100,000 rands. We won't give you 1 million rands. So you need to get yourself, like, you need to warm up to these options, these alternatives. Equity investment, man, I know people have been screwed over by partners and investors. We see it. We are seeing it right now. If you go on social media, we see the South African entrepreneurs in South Africa. The South African entrepreneurs that are currently, like, we see news about them, that investors, you didn't understand, learn. Understand the terms of the contract, have something written down. You understand what is happening? So it can be the best decision that you ever make to get an equity partner. Somebody who buys into your business. Because this is what I also learned. I've written it as a blog article. I have never like really done a video or an audio content on it. That when you get into business, you need to understand that there are 3 types. Is it 3? I think it was 3 types of. You need to understand the three personalities. I'll just say that. You get into business, but you need to ask yourself, Hore, are you an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is like an innovator. Somebody who solves problems, somebody who like new product, let's do this. So you're a creative, right? And then we have a manager. You love managing stuff, but really this forward thinking, big picture stuff. Guys, I love systems. I just want to manage systems. Everything is organized. You are that person, right? And then there are practitioners. With practitioners, for example, what I have learned about myself is that although when I started in the strategy consulting space, I was inspired by McKinsey, and I was like, I'm gonna start a big company, a big consulting firm, a strategy consulting firm that is like McKinsey. I realized that was not really my thing, because my thing was to be a strategist. I'm a consultant. I'm a consultant. I love doing the strategic thinking, solving problems for clients. You understand? It's more like I started KM Consulting to become a McKinsey consultant. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. It's like I created my own consultant job. So for me to be a consultant, I had to be under something. So hence I created KM Consulting. You understand? But really, if you gave me an opportunity to go and work at McKinsey, I was never gonna start KM Consulting. So I was a practitioner. I am a practitioner. I don't see myself having all these people working under me. No. As much as, yes, I can be this person who do corporate strategies, I want to do them for others. But for me, I can do them to grow my career as a consultant, as a strategy consultant. You understand? But not necessarily to own this firm that is brand KM Consulting. Oh my goodness, that is not me. So you understand the level of self-awareness that is required to succeed in business. You need to understand yourself. Are you an entrepreneur? Always having business ideas. You can't be a CEO if you are an entrepreneur. You can't be managing people, because one moment you guys will be working on this, the next that. You need somebody to help. You need an operations manager. You need somebody to manage you, because you're all over. You won't grow also, because one moment is this product, the next is that. So you need to understand yourself. There's a reason why some innovators or some entrepreneurs, they're not even CEOs in their own companies. They hired people to become CEOs in their companies. You understand what is happening? It takes a high level of self-awareness and detachment. But because most of entrepreneurs that I've observed, they're too married to the power. They want to be CEOs, and it's my company, I registered it, and things like that. So it's holding your growth back. You understand? So you need to understand, are you an entrepreneur, an idea person, or are you a manager, or are you a practitioner? Some of you are so great at marketing. So if you're a marketing titan, what are you doing with invoicing and things like that? I'm preaching to the choir right now, and I think this is because of experience. If you're a marketing titan, don't be wasting time with things that are not about marketing. Outsource them. Employ somebody to do those things if you can afford, and focus on the role that you can do. So this is like true talk, like straight up, do that. I've seen it 6 years doing this thing, and I realized it took me how many years? I think half of that. I think it took me 3 years to realize that I hate doing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm a practitioner. Sit down with me and let's talk about your business. Let's talk about growth for your business. Let's talk about executing your idea. Let's talk about getting funding for it. Let's talk about, you understand? Let's brainstorm. I do not want to be, that's me. I don't want to be worrying about, advertise that. I know that as a strategist, for me, the perks that comes with that is that I'm a strategist, like how do I call this thing? It's like an all-rounder kind of strategist. Because when it comes to marketing, when it comes to product development, when it comes to ideation, when it comes to business development, I am there as a strategist. So for me, it's more than just the systems per se or the business units per se. It's about how I think. That's my talent. That's my gift. That's what I'm excellent at. How I think. It's about using all the knowledge, making knowledge and education make sense. It's about deciphering and decoding stuff. It's about analysis. It's about making things simple and practical. It's about unearthing the root causes of failure. And this just comes from the reason why I was so obsessed with wanting to know why Titanic sank and why the Greystone Bridge collapsed and why the Tongaat Mall collapsed. That's me. I'm that person. So you put me in any environment and I'm unearthing stuff. I'm solving stuff. That's me. You know, so what is happening? So I can't be doing organizing stuff, answering calls. I know those are the things that comes with owning a business, but that level of self-awareness is going to help you on what now? What do you do now? How are you going to delegate? You understand what is happening? So, yeah. So, in terms of, okay, I've spoken this much because we're talking about equity investment, like getting people to buy into your business. So it takes self-awareness, understand are you an entrepreneur, a manager, or a practitioner? Then from there, when it gets to equity investment, get somebody who will be the manager if you're not a manager. If you're an entrepreneur, okay, get somebody who will be the CEO. Get somebody who will be head of marketing, head of product, whatever. You understand what is happening? So delegate what is not your strength. Delegate those weaknesses. You can outsource, you can employ, whatever works for you. So now we did step 2. Step 1 was funding needs and assessment. The second thing is what type of funding you're looking for. The third thing, now we're getting ready. Now you have decided whether you're going to take a loan or a grant or an equity investment. So we're getting you ready. This is where the business plan comes in. With getting ready, there are 3 things. Earlier on, I mentioned that the investment analysts, they check your financials and things like that. So now I'm going to give you the 3 things. The make or break of, like, the make or break. What actually, I'll just say, what do you call this thing? The parameters that they use to assess whether they're going to give you funding or not. So that was the preparation, right? The first two stuff to prepare you before you even apply. So now you are on the brink, on the verge of applying, right? So now, funding ready. I said there is funding, right? But you need to get ready for it, right? So these are the three things that are important, whether you're a startup or an existing business. So this is about, how do I now stand out? There is funding, there's an intense competition, because the funding that you're looking for from NYDA, CIFA, NEF, whatever the institution, the funding that you're looking for, there are hundreds and thousands of others that are looking for it. Now the question is, how do you stand out? How can you stand out? What can set you apart so that they choose you and not the other person, right? The other business, right? They're not funding you necessarily, but the business. Also, the entrepreneur and the business. Okay, let's get to it. There's three things. The first thing is the business case. It has to be compelling. It has to be profitable, right? So it's the business case, the structure, this financial profile. Let me break it down. With a business case, some of you will call it a business plan. The reason why they're asking for a business plan is so that you can just map out your business case, right? And really, from the business plan, what really matters, it's three things. The first thing is the market opportunity. You need to present the market opportunity, whether it's a gap in the market, whether it's a problem, whatever it is. What is the market opportunity, right? The market opportunity, you can break it down. The size of the market, the problem, the pain, whatever it is. So it's the market, under the market opportunity. So this is where we talk about even your what do you call this? Your value proposition. This is the problem. This is how I'm going to solve it. So it's like, present your case, the market opportunity. So the second thing, the second part of it all is the execution strategy. So you saw this market opportunity. How are you going to exploit it? How are you going to make money? How are you going to take advantage of it? How are you going to execute this idea that you're coming up with, this solution that you're coming up with? How are you going to execute it? Under execution strategy, so here we're talking about your business model. So you're mapping it out. A business model is like, what value are you going to create for customers? How are you going to sell it to them, and how are you going to make money? That's like the first thing. When you talk about a business model, that's what it is, right? But you can expand it. But that's in essence, that's what it means. So under execution strategy, so it's like your business model. We're talking about your business scope, the markets that you're going to focus on. We're talking about your target markets, obviously. We're talking about your product and service portfolio. We're talking about the marketing. How you're going to execute the marketing of this business, or if it's a product. What will be the execution marketing strategy? What will be the operations plan, the staffing plan? You know, how many people are you going to need? The budget for that. You understand what is happening? So it's like, what people think is a business plan, that's where it is actually. Your sales strategy, your business strategy, that's where it is. All of it, that's the part that's under execution. So it's, how are you going to do it, and what are you going to need? You understand? How you gonna, it's like, right now it's like, map out what will be your approach to executing. From a branding point of view, marketing, sales, operations, HR, which is like your staffing plan, the product department, which is like your product and service portfolio, the business model, that's where it is, right? So the third thing is like your return on investment, right? In terms of a return on investment / financials. The financials, this is like your financial plan, right? Here, when it comes to the financial plan, we're going to talk about the capital requirement. How much funding is required? How is it going to be used? You know, and then we talk about the sales forecast, right? So for me, when I work with clients, when it comes to the financial focus, obviously as a consultant, I do the homework. I check the market averages for a startup, for an existing business, for a particular industry sector. You understand? So you need to do your homework, so you don't just guess. So we do the capital requirement, we do the sales focus. So what I always do is, Do not focus on how much you're gonna make in a year when you start. Start with a day. In a day, how many sales can you close for the type of business they're going to do? For example, if you're in a consulting business, you offer business profiles, business plan, proposals, whatever it is. So you have pricing for that, right? So you check a business plan in a day. How many can you get? You understand? Like realistically, how many clients can you get in a day? For which business, for which service or product? You understand? You start with that. And then, so you do, okay, fine. You do that. And then from there, it's daily, right? And then you check it's Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday. So you do it based on that. It matters that it's Monday today. The sales matter, whether today is Saturday. Today is January this month. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it's seasonal. The sales are seasonal. They cannot be constant throughout every day, every month, every year. You understand? So then you check that at a small scale, right? And then you check how many can you get, and then how many you can get then informs how much you're gonna make, right? And then when you do this, you look at the best case scenario. On the business plan under the financials, there's always this part here, assumptions, right? Those are what you're using to inform this, the factors that you're using to inform these numbers that you're talking about. Is it experience? Is it the fact that you have access, you already established customer base? Is it because you have brand equity? What is happening? What is happening? Those are the assumptions that you're using to do this thing. Is it December and then hobbies and then people are going to buy the firecrackers? What is happening? So that's what you're going to use there, the assumption. So the number that you put there, the number of sales depend, like they need to be informed by those factors, such factors. And also mind the industrial sector that you're in, right? And then fine. So let's say you're going to get 5 clients in a week, right? 5 clients in a week. Oh, we see it. Then it amounts to what? So it's like, let's say it's like 100 Rand for each service, right? So it means a week you're going to get 500 Rand. 500 Rand, if it's constant, the best case scenario is that you're making this. So there's like, best case scenario is like every week that thing they're gonna get times 2, right? Every week you'll grow, it's gonna grow like this week if it was 500 a week, the next week 100, it's like 1,000 Rand. The other week, 1.5, you understand? It's growing at that rate. And then, that's the best case scenario. Then the average, the conservative one, is when it's just constant, right? And then, we have a worst case scenario where, man, it's just bad. Things are not working well. So, instead of having 500, you can have 500 and it goes up and down, up and down. Depends on the factors you're going to use there. You understand? So after that, you're gonna use your daily, weekly, monthly sales forecast to inform your annual, which is your yearly focus. You understand what I'm saying? This is in case of a startup. You're starting, you've never even made a sale. So that's what's happening. So you need to consider that. And you need to check those cases, those scenarios, which one is really realistic. Then you work with that. But my advice is for the first month or the first year, just have a year sales focus, a 12-month sales focus for 3 scenarios: best, average, and then the worst. Right? And then you're going to choose the scenario that is realistic for the current market environment and then work with that to do your year 3, year 1. At the end of the day, you're going to analyze, you're going to use the assumptions there so that when they go through your numbers, you're also giving them, when they have follow-up questions, how did you get to this? You've given reasons. This will be influenced by that. There is this that is happening. This will be a dry season because of 1, 2, 3. This will be an expensive season because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You understand what is happening? That's how it works. and then you're gonna do your the rest of the financial stuff. And these things, go on Google and learn how these things are done. It's just money coming in, money going out. You understand what is happening? Money coming in, money going out. This is where you do your P&L, right? So in terms of your profit loss statements, your cash flow statements, your balance sheet, things like that, the rest you just go on Google. You can even consult somebody to help you construct that. But the key thing is the sales focused, because your P&L and all that, they're based on your sales. Your cash flow, the total money that came in, is based on the sales that you've made. You understand what is happening now? So the rest of us is just the meat and the calculator, and you do that. But the sales focus, that's where it all starts. You start with the daily sales, weekly sales, monthly sales, then you do a 12 month, and then from there, that's when you can go and do a P&L for a year, 1 year, 2 year, 3, and all that kind of stuff. And also, you need to be a forward thinker. Understand what is currently happening. If you're doing this thing yourself, you haven't consulted somebody, think about the current market conditions. There's COVID-19 right now. It affects your sales. There's different things happening. There's a strike. There's looting. There's things. They affect. So you need to understand. So those things that's there in the industry analysis, market analysis, to say the political factors, economic factors, high unemployment rate, instability of government instability. Those things, they're just not there for literature. They're there to guide the conditions of your best and worst and middle and the average case in a scenario. You understand? When you do your financials and things like that, they affect your sales. So don't just write there. So when you say it's a social factor like this high unemployment rate, what does that mean for the type of people that you want to sell to? That's what's happening. So that's basically that. So that's the business case. Under the business case is market opportunity, execution strategy, and the financials. Get those right. Perfect them. Then the second thing is the traction. I've said it earlier on that there are funders that won't give money to startups because of the risk, right? So they, what do you call it? Is it retail banking? Is it retail capital? Yeah, retail capital. I think it's retail capital. Retail capital offers business loans. The requirement is that you need to be in existence for 12 months and then have a monthly turnover. Last time I checked, I think it was 40K monthly. You understand what is happening? So sometimes as a startup, and it's not only retail capital, it's actually all the institutions. Ideally, they don't want to give somebody who's starting with an idea. Yes, it doesn't mean that you should have money, but you should have traction. When you talk about traction, is that you should have done something before you even come to us. Don't just have an idea and say, I have this idea, and then you want money. There are some of the free stuff or inexpensive stuff that you can do in the meantime before you go to apply for funding. For example, get a social media community. Create a Facebook page for the company that you haven't even registered yet, but you know that this company name is already yours, like it's not registered. Or secure it, reserve it, 50 Rand on CIPC, and then create a Facebook page. Depending on the type of business that you're in, you may need to have a Facebook page and Instagram, sometimes a YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever it is. I know that somebody would say just create on all platforms, but then some platforms work for other type of businesses. Yes, because it's all about content creation. It's all about building a social community. So you need to find the platform that you really need at the moment that will really work. But Facebook is the number one that you need to be on because of the audience. Facebook is the only platform now with TikTok too. Okay, Facebook and TikTok are the top two platforms that cater for, like, I'll just say all. Yeah, I'm not talking about the 6 months old, right? But then you understand, like, it's like all age groups. Young, old, teenagers, adults, that they're on TikTok, that they're on Facebook. On Twitter, the demographics change. On YouTube, demographics change. YouTube, it's mostly like young, young. And then, yeah, YouTube, I think, is coming after this top two. And then there's LinkedIn. You need to understand it's professionals and all that. You go and find somebody out, what's on your mind. Like for like. Send me your tens for WhatsApp. You won't see them there. You need to understand. It differs. Instagram to Instagram, yeah, is like the youthful generation. So you need to understand what platform works best. Yeah, for your type of business. But Facebook, you have to create it, right? Because with Facebook also, you can play around with the type of content. You can have text format, you can have image, and you can have video. Some platforms, they restrict you, like strictly you can have this thing, or they restrict, like Twitter will restrict the number of characters that you use, like, and it's, I know even Facebook does that, and LinkedIn and all these others, but it's too like limited, you understand? So you need to understand which one can you make the most out of. Right? So when it comes to traction, it's about building your presence, your market presence, social media. List your business on Google My Business and other online directories, right? Get a website to boost your online presence. You understand? You can start blogging, creating content of some sort, depending on the line of business you're in. You understand? So it could be starting a podcast. You can start writing, blogging a lot. It could be like, for example, with the blogging part. In 2016, when I started, I knew that I wanted to be a strategy consultant to small businesses. And that was like a weird thing, because what most small businesses are used to when it comes to consulting is to do company registration, do a business plan, a business profile, But for me, I was more on a strategic point of view. Like, let's do a strategy for your business, not business plan for funding, but a business plan that you're going to use it, an operating plan for your business. Let's do strategy consulting. Let's do a marketing strategy. So it was coming more from a point of being a strategist. So strategy consulting was more familiar in the corporate space. When you think about McKinsey, you understand what they do. You understand you won't be going to McKinsey to get a business profile. So I was trying to be a McKinsey for small businesses. So I understood that the small businesses didn't understand what I was trying to sell them. So what I did, I started blogging about what I offer. I started by giving them value. You understand? What is a business plan? What is a business strategy? What is this? So that I can frame them. I can frame their thinking. I can build that relationship with them so that they understand the kind of value they're going to get from me. You understand? Because I've landed with the business, with the website. If you check the website, ICAM Consulting, it is more detailed than it is about the list. Especially when I started with just listing business strategy, what, sales strategy. And I didn't get, a lot of traction with clients because I realized that they didn't understand what a business strategy was. So I moved, but if you go to a corporate company, a big company, they understand what a sales strategy is, what a marketing strategy is, what a business strategy is. And then so I moved from just listing services to creating literature on the website. Like literally, like you go to the website, business strategy, I give them what it includes. What is the business strategy? Things, how it's going to help you. Because that's the only way they're going to get it. You understand? And you cannot be selling something that people don't want or don't understand. You can't impose. I knew what it was my responsibility to educate my customer. Customer education is the key strategy nowadays. You understand? So I was happy to now when I started getting these queries where like somebody would say, oh, there's a mining company that is, there's a mine that is coming up in a particular, it was somewhere around Mukopan or something like that. So it's like, there's this mining company that is opening up soon. The mining thing, I don't know, it's not a mining company. It's like, is it a shaft or something like that? But there's a mining opportunity that is coming up. They're opening something. The mining people like opening something there. Yeah, this guy wanted to propose some transport tracking business to them and things like that. And then we are brainstorming because this is like an idea. So we need to start about feasibility studies and thinking about the business model. I was excited because that is my thing. You come with an idea, you come with like, what can I do? Like I studied whatever course, qualification. I have a qualification in this thing. How can I make money from this thing? Call me if you're that person. How do I monetize my qualification? How do I monetize my skill? How do I monetize my gift? How do I monetize my talent or skill? Come to me. I know that is my thing. You have a business and then you're making money by selling one thing. How can I generate multiple streams of income from just one product or service? Come to me. I will show you how. You understand? So it uses more of this strategist. I'm a strategist. So that is me. There's a problem, there's an opportunity. Call me. I'm your person when it comes to such things. So hence right now, I'm more focused on teaching, giving practical tools, sharing my insights, you understand? Training people, mentoring people, because I know the secrets to building a business. That's like a fact. I know the secrets to building a business. I know the systems. I know business model innovation. You understand what is happening. It's more than just experience. It's also about how I think. It's also about gifting, the ability to see natural abilities that I have. Being able to see that this won't work, this will work. If you mix 1, 2, 3, if we change how you sell to them, this is how you use words to sell this kind of services. You understand what is happening? So I'm more of that person. So traction, you need to find ways. So I used a lot of blogging to build traction for me, to build my brand, me as a strategist and also for Chem Consulting. You understand? So find ways to do that, to build. For some people, it means getting letters of intent from potential clients. For some, it's to do customer surveys, getting people on your database. You understand? Giving people free stuff. I remember when I started, I provided free business profile or something like that for I think to 10 people across. Like there were people from Kenya and South Africa. I remember with bank, and so I had a specific type of people like that I needed. So I was like, I didn't just give free stuff to just anybody, but it has to be somebody who was in a particular industry, a particular person who was like starting out, the other one who was already in business, so that I can build my profile. You understand what is happening? So I did that. So what can you do right now to build? It's like build traction, build rapport, build experience, a track record of some sort. Your presence, be out there, have a website. You understand what's happening? Because it's about effort. So what I'm trying to say is that show these funders that you made an effort, you did something. You didn't just wait and like, I want funding. You did something. You played your part. You took care of other stuff. You understand? So that's the second thing. Is a business case. When you get ready, is the business case and then traction. The third thing is financial profile. Although financial profile is optional, I recommend it. A financial profile, it just means because the reason why I'm making it optional, because some people, okay, circumstances differ. Some people like really need funding right now so that they can just get started. Some people don't have the time. They're not patient. You understand? So, but I recommend it. So when it comes to financial profile, I'm just talking about, it's nice. Imagine like you're going to apply for funding, right? We call it the startup capital, right? And then you're going to apply. There are two people. Is this person who just have a business plan and maybe even traction, but let's just say business plan, then they are submitting this business plan, their business plan, they're starting out. And then there is you. You have let's just say the business plan and traction, proof of market, and when you do have the same things. But then now, the third thing that you have is a financial profile. The financial profile, it just shows that you've been trading for the past 12 months. Yes, the first month you didn't make any sale. The second month, you sold 3 things. You understand? Because it matters. It matters that you have historical financial data. Even if it's 1,000 rands. I remember in my first year, how much did I make? I will have to go back. But it was too less. It was like a fee of one of the services that I offer. For the whole year of my first year in 2016, the money that I made was like what's like my fee right now for a particular service, one service. Understand? So it doesn't matter that you didn't make 100,000 rands. We're not even pushing you to make 100,000 rands. Even if it's like 5,000 rands, 100 rands, you did something. You traded. You made money of some sort, and you have records, and you show it to them. There's something beside it being the historical financial data, which helps, which shows that you've been trading. It also gives. It's like trust. It's effort that went an extra mile. Is the extra in the ordinary? You understand? What sets you apart from that person is that you did something. You know how to sell. Proof of the fact that you can sell. You understand what I'm trying to say? Someone can trust you with money. And it also like substantiate more to say, if we give you money, if we do give you this thing that you say you want, you're going to improve from this 100 rands to 1,000 rands. You understand what is happening? So the financial profile, besides it being beneficial in that way, also, like I said, there are some institutions that will say we need a monthly turnover of 10,000 rands. So you can, in one of the programs that I offer, the Get Funding Ready program, I work with clients that are patient enough to work on their businesses to get them ready for funding. So we spent 12 months where we focus on making money in your business. And we focus on creating a trail for your finances. This is financial management, financial records. So every month, there's going to be a cash flow statement, a P&L, a balance sheet, a break-even, the financial report for your business. You understand what is happening? So this is for two things. First, to train clients to have financial records, and also to help them get in this habit of having a turnover. You need to know how much your business is making. And most of these things that I'm teaching my clients comes from, like a scar experience or something like that. It's what I've learned so hard. And the things that I failed at, you understand, that I've realized later that this was important. The reason 1, 2, 3 didn't work is because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You understand? So right now, besides it being about getting clients in the habit of financial records and financial management and making money and having revenue goals and things like that, also it helps them. If we can have a target to say monthly, we're going to get you 40K turnover. From January to December, a minimum turnover your business is going to make is 40,000 rands. So we're going to say this depends on your industry. For your industry, this could be a little or too much or seem like that. But I'm making an example. Let's say you just need 40K monthly to get funded, to get access to a 1 million rand funding. I'm doing an example, right? Or even if it's not for funding, it's just for your growth. You told yourself, like, from this year, I just want to make 40,000 rand, right? So then the question would be, in your business, how do we get to 40,000 rand, to 40K monthly? What services do we need to focus on, or do we need to introduce? How many products do we need to sell, or services do you need to sell? How can we make this money monthly, constantly? Do we need to diversify? You understand what this thing is, where this thing is going? So it's about helping you achieve particular, oftentimes the far-fetched or audacious financial goals, but it also helps you access funding. For that particular funder, you need a lot of money from them, and it's serious. So now for you to get that thing, you haven't been recording your finances. So this is the year that you're saying, I'm going to have a 12-month records. I'm going to get serious and have financial records for my business. So we're gonna work together, and then we're gonna have that. You understand? We're gonna have financial records for the year, and we also have a target to say monthly we're gonna have 50K turnover, right? because you are trying to set yourself apart. You're trying to meet a particular criteria to unlock funding, a huge funding that is going to unlock growth for your business. You understand what is happening here? So that's the financial profile that I'm saying it's optional, but I recommend where you spend. For me, for my Get Funding Ready program, it's about it's a term of 12 months, but you can give yourself 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, whatever months, you understand, to build a financial profile where you focus on getting sales, you get money, you have revenue goals, and then you're recording your financials so that you have proof. When you go there and apply, you say, these are my records. This is my track record. This is the paper trail. Because most of us who are running businesses, one of the things that is really crippling us or making us fail, yes, it's possible to fail in business even though you're still in business, right, is the fact that we do not have financial records. So if right now somebody's saying, I can fund your business, but right now I need your financial records, the financial, send them to me, email them to me right now. Right now, do you have them? It's one thing to say, can you please give me an hour so that I can finalize the ones for this month or for the past 3 months, and then in the meantime I can send through the past 2 years for the past 2 years. There's a difference between that. It's one thing to say that, it's another to start them from scratch and you don't even write them on the book, write them down. You know what is happening? So I'm trying to help you. I wish I knew this thing early too. Yeah, I wish I actually even pushed myself and, but then sometimes experience is important. And in this case, it's important not only for me and also for you, because now you get to know that you need to start being serious about your financials. So you understand what I'm trying to say? So yeah, that's the financial profile. So the fourth thing, so you did your funding needs assessment, you decided on the type of funding that you're looking for, you're ready, you have a business case, traction, and financial profile, which is optional. And then number 4, this is what you do. So you have a business plan, it's like ready, a business plan, right? And then you screen funders. When you screen funders, the funders that you screen will depend on the total fund that you're looking for. And then you're going to screen them also based on the sectors that they offer funding to, that they fund. Also the stage of business, whether you're a startup or an existing business. And also the type of funding, whether it's a business loan, equity, or grant, right? So you're going to be screening funders for that. Then you're going to shortlist the ideal funders, right? Just because everyone is going to NYDA, maybe you should go to CIFA. And the loans tends to be fast. They pay out fast. Just saying. Equity investment can come within a day. I'm just saying. And then from there, as you screen the funders, let's say you have your top 3, it's like your CIFA, NEF, and IDC, right? And then now you have to study their requirements and their process of application. The requirements, the business plan, the reason why the business plan is already done there. And my guess would be the business plan. There's something that I've been trying to avoid. I've been trying to tell myself, when I do business plans, I do not do a one-size-fits-all. I always start a business plan from scratch. Reason being, not all businesses are the same. I could have a framework. I wrote a business plan guide ebook, right? So that I sell to entrepreneurs that are looking to do business plans for themselves. So there's a standard framework of a business plan. The one that I created is based on what generally all these funders are looking for, right? So when you do your business plan, your business case, there are certain aspects that you cannot not do. You understand? So if you were to use my framework, I don't know how I'm going to share them because this is a video, you'll just need to get my ebook. So you can just comment there and then, yeah, it's 100 trends, right? So when you do your business plan, okay, that's where you're going to get the business guideline, or you can go on Google and get a template and things like that. But then there's also this thing. When you study the requirements, some funders have their own template, you understand, of how you're going to do this thing. So you need to think about, so this is what I'm thinking actually, while I'm still here live and speaking to you all. We're going to put the get ready and put it before screening the fund, after the screening of funders. So this is the steps, because I'm thinking about the business plan. So 1, the funding needs assessment. 2, what type of funding are you looking for? Then 3, screen funders. Why are you screening funders? Because now you know the type of funding that you're looking for. Then you screen your funders. When after screening the funders, you get ready. When you get ready, get ready is number 4. Get ready at the business case, traction, and financial profile. Because I've just realized that you can do the business plan, because I don't want you to do the business plan, because right now I'm talking about the business plan guide, and then I'm thinking, if you can't get it, what's going to happen? So to give you better advice here, so we're going to swap it. So the business plan, business case, traction, and financial comes at number 4 now. So you're going to screen funders. Well, as you screen the funders, say NEF, IDC, sometimes these funders, they have a specific format, business plan that they want. So before you even get to the get ready part where you're going to be doing your business plan too, you will be knowing the standard, the business plan standard that particular funder wants. You understand what is happening? So that's what's happening. So screening funders, you're going to check, you're going to shortlist your ideal funders, then you're going to study the requirements, checklist, and then the process. Man, don't be submitting, handing it out, or sending an email without even checking if really that's how you apply. Some institutions, you go online, you upload the business plan. It's like an online process. You understand? So you need to go to their websites. If you go to them, but the websites are the best bet, you know? So you need to understand what is the process. How long does it take, so that you know when can you start following up. How do I know they've received it? Ask them questions, call them, email them. Know the right email. You understand? If needs be, go there, walk in and say, I've just submitted and things like that. I wanted to inquire about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How long does it take? I didn't find this kind of information. How do I know that I've been selected? Is there any way I can ask if I've been rejected, why I was rejected, so that I can prepare better? You understand what I'm trying to say? That is the work. Some people, they just submit, gone. It's been a year now. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that's the part about not being serious that I said earlier on. So do the work. So understand the process. You understand? So this was like number 3. Number 4 is the get ready part, which I've already highlighted. So you can just go back on the video and then get to the get ready part, because I've just said that we swapped them, number 3 and number 4. Get ready was number 3. Then I realized that, that's where we do the business plan. So before we do the business plan, let's screen the funders, which was something that was number 4. Now we swap it, it's number 3. We screen the funders, we check the standard, the format of the business plan that I'm looking for, then we can then go on a business plan. And then now that you've screened funders and then you've studied requirements, the business plan is ready, it's time to submit, because you know how to submit. You submit, and then you can follow up, right? That's the 5th step. After you've followed up, don't just wait on them. You continue to build traction. Maybe this is also the time where you can even build your financial profile. If you remember, the traction is about market presence. Go on, even start selling. I actually encourage you, start selling. I know somebody will make an argument of, my business, I need machines and things like that. Okay, that one is an exception, you understand. But some of you are in the service business. Some of you, your service, your product is your mind, is your hand, is the talent, is the skill you already have. You understand? So start selling right now. Don't just wait for the funding, right? So, yeah. That's it. So these were the 5 tips on how to get funding for your business, whether you're a startup business, you're starting out, or an existing business looking for working capital or growth finance. So just to recap, the first thing to help you, these are the 5 tips to help you get funding for your business. 1, do a funding needs assessment. How much funding do you need? What for? How urgent do you need it? Return on investment. How else can I finance this? 2, what type of funding am I looking for? Is it loan? Is it a grant? Is it an equity investment? Open up your mind. Not everything is about the grants and not paying things back. Take a risk, take a loan. Equity investment is an option. Number 3, screen funders. Now that you know the type of funding that you're looking for and how much you're looking for, screen funders. Shortlist the top 3 ones that you're going to apply to, and then study their requirements and processes. Understand how things work, how to apply, how long it takes to get that money. You understand? After you've done that, now that you understand that, submit and then follow up. You follow up until you either get money or you get the rejection message. And when you get rejected, you ask, why? How can I improve? What was wrong? You understand? There are investment analysts that you can sit down with at this institution that can help you. They can go through your business plan and tell you where you went wrong. They can, because they do the checklist when they approve you for funding. So you can ask for a copy. Maybe it is allowed to get that copy. You understand? Then the 6th thing is, which is the last thing, is that after you've signed it, don't just wait and pray. Yes, while you pray so that it becomes successful, so that your business can grow, you can invest in your business. Continue building traction. Get customer. Build a customer base. Build your brand, your market presence. Trade. Get money. Make money. Sell. Move. Don't just wait, right? Yeah. I hope these tips are going to help. You're going to get you closer to accessing the funding that you need to either execute your idea, to manifest that entrepreneurial vision, or to grow your business. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. This was Kgadi on Strategy. Thanks.